Hi, I'm State Senator Kevin Parker. I represent the 21st District, which is Flatbush and East Flatbush, Midwood, Ditmas Park, Kensington and Borough Park. I am the chair of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee in the Senate and the Majority Whip. And today, I would like to welcome you to a report to from the State Senate. We are in the throes of a lot of exciting things here in Albany, in the middle of balancing our budget, trying to reduce a $15 billion deficit, trying to get as many of the stimulus dollars from the federal government as possible, and day by day, just making sure we're serving all of you. And today, I'm really excited about having a guest who is a homegirl from Brooklyn, somebody who is a friend to my constituency and to really everybody in the state, and that is our chairperson and CEO of the New York State Consumer Protection Board, and that's none other than Mindy Bockstein. And this is not the first time we've had Ms. Bockstein here with us, and just consumer issues are critical for everybody's day-to-day lives. Whether you're buying a toaster or new furniture, whether you're trying to sign up for cell service or any legal services, all those things come under the purview of the New York State Consumer Protection Board. And so to talk a little bit about the programs, what they do, and more importantly, how you as New York State citizens interact and get access to those programs, we're going to have that conversation today with the CEO of the New York State Consumer Protection Board, Mindy Bockstein.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. It's not the first time you've been on my show, but...
No, I'm a veteran.
Yes.
The New York State Consumer Protection Board, as you know, was established back in 1970. Mm-hmm. It is one of the only state consumer protection agencies of its kind, and we have a very broad mission. Right. We protect and advocate for consumers every day, and you alluded to from the toaster to energy and cell phones. We conduct investigations and hearings. We test consumer products. We have a new program dealing with children's toys and juvenile products. We enforce the do not call law, and we are able to develop cases and fine potential violators $11,000 per violation for those annoying telemarketing calls if your phone number or your viewer's phone number is on the National Registry. We research issues, we develop legislation, we do a great deal of outreach in terms of consumer education, and we respond to consumer marketplace complaints by pursuing voluntary mediation. Last year, Kevin, we received over 55,000 phone calls to our toll-free bilingual hotline, and more than 19,000 complaints were actually filed using one of 3 complaint forms. We have it in English, Spanish, and Chinese. We were able to secure refunds, rebates, credits, avoided costs, really saving consumers $1.1 million last year alone. So that, I think, is a significant achievement for a very small state agency.
I know I can always use $1.1 million. I'm not...
I know I can as well. We also represent consumers before the Public Service Commission. We are the statutory consumer rep, and we guard those interests of consumers in rate cases and in generic proceedings, anywhere from the Con Ed rate increase or the Con Ed prudence case dealing with the explosion a number of years ago, or the blackout a number of years ago, to issues dealing with ESCOs. And in fact, late last year, the Public Service Commission promulgated some new rules dealing with marketing practices. Pursuant to our initiation, the Consumer Protection Board filed a petition based on a number of complaints that we were seeing, regarding practices that bordered on the line of criminal, that were really unethical, that they were disreputable, they were unscrupulous. And we saw that it was an opportunity, a necessary opportunity for us to step in. So we pursued that matter before the Public Service Commission, and they issued new rules, which we hope will be new code of conduct for many of those market players. And I know that you have a significant interest in that, given your new chair position, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. Let me stop you for a second and talk a little bit about the National Do Not Call Registry. How does that work, and what's your role in enforcing it?
Well, the Do Not Call law is really a hallmark law. And in fact, when I was a staffer in the legislature, I actually worked on that bill. Little did I know later I would be helping enforce it. But the Do Not Call law is a protective measure for consumers who can register on the National Registry their landline home phone or their personal cell phone. Once they register that number, it's on permanently. And they really will reduce the number of telemarketing sales calls that one would receive. There are a few exceptions to the law. It's a state law as well as a federal law. But it really reduces the number of unwanted calls, as well as reduces the likelihood of falling victim to telemarketing fraud, which runs anywhere from about $40 billion a year. Unfortunately, Americans lose to telemarketing fraud. So it is a protective tool that we encourage all consumers to use. Right. And if a complaint is filed with the Federal Trade Commission, we then receive it as the New York Enforcement Agency. And we investigate these cases. Since the law's inception, we've brought over more than 400 cases. And we fine violators up to $11,000 per call. So that's a significant statute that has made a difference in many people's lives. And
will it stop bill collectors from calling me?
There are some exceptions to the law. If you have a established business relationship, then there are some exceptions to that relationship. But certainly calls, and we have seen an uptake of that activity given the economy, that it certainly will make a difference in terms of not receiving those types of calls. In our effort to enforce the law, we have also been working with businesses to increase compliance. We've worked with the Business Council of New York State, the retailers, and others to advance the understanding of their duties and responsibilities. We don't want hardship on business, but we certainly don't want hardship on consumers.
Right. Now, what's your role with these new ESCOs? Can you explain what ESCOs are?
Sure.
And I know a lot of people, including my mother, complains about this all the people knocking on their door asking to see their Con Ed bill or their National Grid bill and saying they're going to save them money and those kind of things.
Exactly. Back in 1990, when there was a deregulation of utilities, these ESCOs, independent energy service companies, came on the scene. And they basically promised discount energy, natural gas, electricity, and they are different from regulated utilities. They're different from Con Ed, from National Grid. And they employ various agents who unfortunately target seniors and those that do not speak English. And they appear at your front door, or they call you on the telephone, and they promise you the world. We will sell you discount energy at 4 cents per therm, at sign on the dotted line. Or some of them, unfortunately, implied that they were actually representing Con Edison or National Grid, and the consumer is confused. What do you mean? You're my utility. Of course I'm going to sign this contract. I want my energy to continue. I don't want to be without electricity. So many consumers have been tricked or sometimes forced through disreputable marketing